Hello, and welcome to a place where there be unicorns. In a landmark 493-page judgment, the Supreme Court of India said fuck off to all the people who are too obsessed with who's fucking who and how. How is important, vis-a-vis section 377 of the Indian Penal Code, except the Supreme Court worded it as irrational, indefensible, and manifestly arbitrary, a bit like Virat Kohli's test team selections. And I just have one thing to say about the whole issue. About fucking time. If you've ever wondered what the Romans actually done for us,
all right, but apart from the sanitation, the medicine, education, wine, public order, irrigation, roads, a fresh water system and public health, what have the Romans ever done for us?
they also gave us the first laws against homosexuality. And since the Western civilization is essentially based on similar Judeo-Christian morals, when the British came along, they brought with them the Victorian-era condemnation of homosexuality. Indeed, so disgusted was the infamous Macaulay, one of the drafters of the Indian Penal Code of 1860, something which we still strangely use, that he thought a mere discussion on homosexuality would cause injury to the morals of the society. Unlike things which actually do cause injury to the morals of the society, yes, I'm still talking about Virat Kohli's test team selections. Macaulay's influence was highlighted again and again in the judgment, as were international authors, from the songs of Leonard Cohen to Goethe, Shakespeare, Schopenhauer, Oscar Wilde's lover, Oscar Wilde, the lover of Oscar Wilde. Oh, and did I mention the person having an affair with Oscar Wilde? So what is this section 377? Well, it's a law about unnatural offences which says whoever voluntarily has carnal intercourse against the order of nature with any man, woman or animal shall be punished with imprisonment for life or with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 10 years and shall also be liable to fine. To which the obvious question is, what do you mean by order of nature? Given the Victorian era puritanical roots, it meant sex only for procreation. And by that definition, almost all sex can be brought under a scanner. Anything and everything you do for sexual pleasure, gone. Oral, anal or sex just for fun, gone. I'm not going to talk about the positions here, but you know them and gone. All this in the land of the Kama Sutra. By design, it became the go-to law to torment the members of the LGBTQ community, making them vulnerable and forcing them to live their lives in fear of prosecution, a perpetual fear of prosecution. Here we need to quickly talk about two cases first. First, the Nas judgment of 2009, in which the Delhi High Court decriminalized section 377, terming it as a violation of fundamental rights. And second, the Kaushal judgment of 2013, in which the Supreme Court of India itself overruled the earlier Nas judgment, saying, "Yana, it's alright. Only 200 cases have been registered under the law in the last 150 years. And as it is, the LGBTQ community is too minuscule to matter. Maybe the parliament should take care of it." But why would they? In the true spirit of secularism, the challenge to the Nas judgment was filed by a Hindu astrologer supported by the Muslim Law Board and Christian missionary trust groups, among others. Unity in diversity, you see. Of course, the parliament didn't. Indeed, earlier in 2008, the Congress-led government had said gay sex was a reflection of a perverse mind, and its decriminalization would lead to moral degradation of society. Later, they evolved their stance, thankfully, but only filed a review petition in the Supreme Court. They didn't act on it in the parliament, but merely hoped that it would happen somehow. Like I'm hoping to win a Wimbledon championship sometime soon. It's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. When the Modi government came into power, they kept silent too. To quote their stance, they believed in the wisdom of the courts, unlike other times when they didn't believe in the wisdom of the courts. Thus, the Supreme Court not only had the weight of expectations on this judgment, it also had its own history. something which it took care of in style. Here's Justice Chandrachud quoting the ever so brilliant late Justice Leela Seth in the very first paragraph of his judgment. To show exaggerated deference to a majoritarian parliament when the matter is one of fundamental rights is to display judicial pusillanimity. For there is no doubt that in the constitutional scheme, it is the judiciary that is the ultimate interpreter. Burn. The Supreme Court interpreted it in two forms. One as a matter of right to life, which included right to privacy, right to health, right to freedom of expression, right to equal citizenships, and the right to love, among others. It's important here to note the consolidated effort that has gone into this judgment, from practices followed in different parts of the world to how many animal species exhibit homosexuality, from science journals to personal experiences. It covered lots and lots and lots of ground. Take for instance just a couple of things. The Mental Health Care Act of 2017 had defined what mental illness is. The Supreme Court used it to prove that being homosexual is not akin to being mentally ill. Well, duh, but yeah. Or take the right to privacy, declared as a fundamental right last year by the Supreme Court itself. It was used again and again and again to advocate for a person's intimacy, sexual orientation, and the right to choose a partner, being none of the state's or anyone else's business. The other aspect the Supreme Court focused on was consent. And this is important. Contrary to what many may suggest, Section 377 has not been scrapped. It has simply been clarified or read down, consent being the keyword. Thus, bestiality is still not okay, and any non-consensual sex act which doesn't involve a penis and a vagina can be taken up under Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code. It now essentially guarantees protection from sexual exploitation or assault, especially for bi and homosexual citizens, which is fantastic. And what a turn of fortune. The very law which was a menace for 158 years is now a shield. Well, it's been a monumental day. I say let's make homosexuality great again. Maybe it always was. I think it always was. But let's strive to give it the context it so deserves. History owes an apology. Society does too. I leave you with one of my favorite clips from a bit of Fry and Laurie. I'll see you next time. Hopefully this week itself. Have fun.
And there's another one. When was the last time you could use the word homosexual in its proper context?
And it's such a lovely word.
Oh, it's one of the great words.
My word, Jane, I used to say to my wife, the garden's looking very homosexual this morning.